And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with the Game Boy Geek.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today, we're going to take a look at some Norse mythology and look at some powerful gods in a tile-laying strategy game from Stronghold Games called Voluspa. Now it's from 2 to 5 players, ages 10 and up, takes about 45 minutes to play, and you're laying tiles down in a strategic manner to try to get the most points to win. So let's take it out, I'll show you how it's played, and I'll show you what I think. Here are all the different tiles that come in the game Voluspa. It does include an expansion with the base game that comes with it, and there's 12 different tiles that you'll be able to use, and many of these have some superpowers, or special abilities if you will. So we're going to go over each of these tiles in example just now. In Voluspa, you're laying tiles to try to score points and have the most at the end of the game. At the beginning of the game, everybody draws 5 random tiles. You'll also get 1 extra special tile from the expansion that we'll talk about later. And then you also pull out 1 random tile to start the game. Now from this random tile, let's talk about how tiles are played. On your turn, you get to play a tile anywhere that's legal. And a legal move is anywhere that is next to a tile, adjacent. So you could go up, down, left, right of a tile, but you could not put it here or you couldn't put it outside. It has to go next to it. So if this person places this tile here, you look at the numbers. And now let's not think about any of the special abilities right now. Let's just talk about pure numbers. So this one is a 6, this one's a 3. The one I just put down has the highest number in this row. And when I put one down as the highest number, I'm going to get 1 point for every tile. So I get 1, 2. I'm going to get 2 points on the scoring track. Now it's the next person's turn. And they might put down, let's say, a 6 here. And so now this person is going to score 1, 2 because the 6 is greater than the 3, and it's 1, 2 tiles. Now if you put one down that's not larger, like this, they simply don't score anything this round. And when you put a tile down, most of the time you're going to pick a tile up with the exception of one of the tiles. So you're going to lay down one, you're going to pick up one, and you're almost always going to have 5 tiles in your hand, except for some small circumstances otherwise for special abilities. So this is how the game's played as you're laying tiles down one at a time. Now let's just fill the board up a little bit here, just randomly, just show you what it would look like once a game's kind of gone on for a little bit. Here, maybe here, here, here. Okay? Now, what happens if someone places one like this here? So if they place this here, they're going to get, it's an 8, and an 8 is bigger than a 6 and a 5, and an 8 is bigger than a 2 and a 3. You always look up, down, and left, right, every row and column. So he would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he would actually score 6 points. So when you start blending together rows and columns, you can really start adding up a lot of the points. One of the rules is that no row or column may be greater than 7 tiles. So once a row or column gets to 7 tiles, it's maxed out and you have to start building otherwise. So let's start talking about the special powers of each of these cards. Start with the highest number and we'll work our ways down. The Jtunn Tile is the number 8. It's the most powerful in the game number-wise and therefore has no special ability because of the number. And same with Thor, who's the number 7, and he does not have any special abilities because his number is so high. The Sea Serpent has a number of 6. If I put him here, he's not bigger than anybody here, but he's bigger than this, and the Sea Serpent can go across empty spots. So even though there's a 4 here, these are empty, he can go across those. So he could go 1, 2, 3, 4, and he would get 4 points. And he can only get those points when you jump over a space, either going one direction, row, or column, but not both. So this would get him 4 points. The Troll is also number 6, and it does not allow anybody else to place tiles adjacently, up, down, left, or right. So as long as this Troll's here, no one's going to be able to place here below him or here next to him. He scares everybody away. The next one is a Dragon, who's a 5. He can actually be placed on top of one to take away someone's power. So we didn't like that Troll being here, so the Dragon can drop that right on top of him. If he now had the highest number, he would score, but in addition to that, he now takes away the power that was on the tile below him. Tile number 5, the Jtunn Tile, what he gets to do is bump somebody. So maybe he wants to bump Valkyrie to the end and slide into their spot. and you'll see a little while later why this can be advantageous move. He is a 5, which is a decent number to start with, but he can bump anybody to any different at the end of any row or column. The Fenrir, or the Wolves, as I call them, the Wolf Packs, they're only number 4, but when you put them in the same row or column, they add up. So right now, I have a 4, there's a 5 and a 6 here. Normally, without this guy, I would not be able to score. But anytime there's multiple of these, you add them up. So this is 4 and this is 4. So when I place this, that essentially gives me a value of 8. 8 is now bigger than the 5, so he would get 1, 2, 3 points. There's a space here, so he can't go across that. It allows you to just sort of add up to take over some higher powers. Number 3 is the Hermod Tile. What he allows you to do is place a tile like him, and then place a second tile anywhere as a normal legal move. So maybe he would place this and then place a 7, which now this 7 is higher than everything here, so now he would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. It's a very powerful tile to mix with higher powers. The Scotty tile allows you to replace something, so you can literally put this tile down and take what was there back into your hand. This is cool for stealing high point tiles or ones that you really want that you can plan ahead for. The Valkyrie is only 2 points, but if they're placed on each end of any row or column, that's when they score. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points because of Valkyrie on each end, and as we showed earlier, his ability allowed them to push the Valkyrie to the end, so later he could place a Valkyrie tile there. The Loki tile, it's only a number of 1, but what it does allow you to do is it makes everything next to him 0. So now this 7 is 0. So later on I could put something bigger than a 7 and still score. And finally a tile called Hell. It's double-sided, it's got a woman on it like this. But when you play it, you actually play it upside down, and when you play it like here, this now separates the board. So if we were getting too many tiles, like more than 7, you could put this here, and now this is a new row, this is a new row, this is a new row, this is a new row. So now it splits it up so that you can continue to grow it without running into that 7 maximum number in any row column. It also splits it up so now maybe if I was going to play something lower than an 8 here but higher than a 5, I could now play it here and it would score 1, 2. So this essentially goes on, and the scoring gets done after each turn. Pretty much as you score your points, and that's a scoring marker that allows you to go. Once all the tiles have been completely placed on the board, the one with the most points is the winner. Alright, well there you have Voluspa. So what I think about this game is it's a good, interesting strategy game, tile laying game. What came to my mind when I played this game is, for me, this is kind of like a abstract game on steroids, or a glorified abstract game. And the reason why I say that is it's nothing like chess or checkers or Othello or any other of the million abstract strategy games that are out there. But I got the feeling that it sort of was the way you think about moves, and you're thinking ahead of moves, and it's really just pure strategy. So I really felt like it was sort of like that, but then layered on top of that is amazing artwork, an interesting theme, and you know the special powers, which most abstract games obviously don't have. So it's sort of a really nice packaged abstract strategy game for me, is the way I would sort of explain this to somebody. If I had somebody come over my house and they were not playing, they're not a gamer, and they said they like chess or checkers or Othellos or any of those games, I would probably pull this one out first and say, hey, let's check this out. Let's take something like that and take it in a different direction and see what you think. So it definitely has a place. It's an interesting game. When you play it, my favorite was with 2 players, because you could actually plan a couple moves ahead, and a lot of times your strategy would pay off. Sometimes they would go where you would want to go, and it would follow your plans, but it didn't happen every turn. With 3 players, I'd still play it. It got a little bit different, where by the time you got back to your turn, if you're trying to plan ahead moves, there's more of a chance that your move's going to get taken up by somebody else. And then if you play it with more than 4, I didn't really like it that much with that many players, because it seemed to take a lot longer, because everybody was thinking all the time, and then by the time it got to their turn, somebody had already pretty much placed where they wanted to play, so then they had to rethink again, and it just seemed to stall and go a little slower. So my favorite's 2 players. I'll play it with 3, 4 and 5, I wasn't so hot on it. But if you're looking for a good, interesting, sort of a strategy, abstract game on steroids, that's interesting, has a good theme, has some good special powers. Doesn't take that long to play, about 45 minutes. Then you'll definitely want to check out Voluspa from Stronghold Games.
So much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.